Welcome to Unit 4 of Lesson 7. Forgiveness is the next best medicine. We must learn not only to forgive others, but to forgive ourselves as well. Sometimes it's even harder to do. During a hot yoga session one morning, the instructor shared with us that she had been practicing the philosophy of Ho'oponopono. And as she described the foundation of this philosophy, it really touched me. It really warmed my heart. And as soon as I got home, I was like, I need to learn more about this. So I did a whole bunch of research about this beautiful practice. So Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. And it's evolved over the years, and it was modernized by Dr. Ayakalaka, I probably got that wrong, Hugh Len, who has cured an entire ward of criminally insane patients without ever meeting them. I really encourage you to read the story. It's a really cool story. So the practice, which is still widely used today, is really based on the premise that you can heal others by healing yourself. And it really consists of 4 main steps. It is about repentance, forgiveness, gratitude, and love. So whether forgiving yourself or someone else, the mantra of Ho'oponopono remains the same. Its first thing is, I'm sorry. Second, I forgive you. Third is thank you. And fourth is I love you. Nothing more than these words really needs to be said, although you can, feel free to add context. So forgiving yourself may sound something like this. I'm sorry I doubted myself. Please forgive me for succumbing to those thoughts. Thank you for being judgment-free. And I love you. You're always enough. Alternatively, if you're forgiving someone else, it may sound something like this. I'm sorry you felt the need to raise your voice with me. Please forgive me for not understanding your frame of mind. Thank you for sharing your frustration with me. And I love you for all who you are. So the practice of Ho'oponopono is all about healing yourself and taking absolute responsibility for your life. Through this practice, Dr. Len discovered that loving yourself is the greatest way to improve yourself. And as you improve yourself, you improve your world. So for those that may not feel comfortable with the language of this forgiveness, the Ho'oponopono practice, you might be more receptive to another practice. This was created by William Fergus Martin, and it is also 4 steps to forgiveness. And it's a similar approach, but it uses different terminology. So in William's 4 steps, his process is: Step 1, state who you need to forgive and for what. So who you're forgiving and what is it for. Step 2, honestly acknowledge how you currently feel about the situation. So don't downplay the feelings. Be honest with yourself. How do you feel about the situation? And then step 3 is really stating the benefits you'll get from forgiving the person. And this is mainly about, the opposite of what you're currently feeling. So, if you're sad, then when you forgive, you'll feel happy, or, anger becomes peace, heaviness becomes a feeling of lightness, and so on. And if you're not sure about the benefits, just choose a few general good feelings. So, by forgiving someone, I am going to feel much happier. If you're not exactly sure of what the benefits are. So it could be you feel happier, more at ease, more confident, whichever emotion you want to experience there. And the last step 4, is really about committing yourself to forgiving. And this is simply stating that who you intend to forgive, and then acknowledging the benefits, which are going to come from the forgiving, and then committing to forgive. And by committing to forgive, that means we're not dwelling on the feeling of not forgiving. So that's William's technique. In her book, Spirit Junkie, Gabby Bernstein talks about the F word and how it's crucial to our own serenity, and how our ego oftentimes gets in the way of us being able to get there by replaying past experiences and really putting us on the defensive. She refers in her book to A Course in Miracles, and this course really reinforces the concept. The course is, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. So by defending ourselves against perceived anger of others, we really simply reinforce the illusion that we've created about the situation, which makes things worse. So by choosing defenselessness, it helps you stay present in the moment and really not allow the ego to dredge up the past. And it allows you to release and move towards forgiveness, which is not just about letting the other person off the hook, it's also about releasing ourselves. When we forgive, we break free from the bonds of ego, and it's the ego that creates that illusion of separateness, of being the victim, of being wronged. It's the ego that creates this narrative. You know, we talked about that in prior lessons, how the ego can hijack our lives. We've also previously talked about emotional intelligence and awareness, and the more we're in tune with our emotions, the easier it becomes to identify when we're feeling and acting from a place of ego. And from here, it's just that much easier to shift our perception from this fear-based emotion to the love-based emotion of forgiveness. So Gabby's method of forgiveness is also a 4-step process, but somewhat different from the others that we just talked about. So it involves the first step of recognizing the illusion. So where is your ego showing up in the situation? Next step is releasing judgment. So we can't forgive if we're in a state of judgment. Third step is to be willing to forgive. So, you know, that old saying, do you prefer to be right or do you prefer to be happy? So be willing to forgive. And you may have to forego some things or some line of thinking. And then the fourth step is really about seeking answers from within through reflection, meditation, prayer, whatever works for you to help you release any resentment about the situation. So an affirmation might be able to help you with this as well. So an affirmation here could sound something like, I choose to see this differently, and thank you for guiding me to forgive. So this is just really seeking answers through reflection about the situation. So regardless of the method that you choose, the Ho'oponopono, Williams, or Gabby Bernstein, regardless of any approach that you choose, really the important thing is that you do forgive. And maybe you have a method that's not aligned with any of these, but it works for you. So whatever you do, the key piece here is that the forgiveness is what will release you. So anger, hostility, grudges, revenge, they're never going to serve you. And they're never going to, when we live in that space, we're never going to be able to live an extraordinary life. Forgiveness and compassion really run hand in hand. And compassionate living is about understanding that we are all part of a shared human experience. And recognizing that all humans fail, make mistakes. We lead imperfect lives. So, rather than feeling isolated by our own perceived imperfection, really egocentrically feeling as if I am the only one in the world who's ever failed or suffered, the common humanity takes that more connected perspective. And compassion, by definition, is relational. It literally means to suffer with. So when we are in touch with our common humanity, we remember that feelings of inadequacy, of disappointment, they're universal. And this is really what distinguishes self-compassion from self-pity. Where self-pity says, poor me, self-compassion really recognizes that it's part of the shared human experience. So, the pain I feel in tough times is the same pain that you feel in tough times. The triggers are different for sure. Circumstances are different. The degree of pain is different, but the basic experience is the same. We all have stuff we're dealing with. Just like you, just like me, just like every other person on this planet. We're all doing the best that we can with the tools that we have. And when we understand this, we really tend to be more compassionate towards ourselves and others, and therefore more forgiving of ourselves and others. So that's it for Unit 4 of Lesson 7. I hope this lesson in forgiveness has served you well. And in the next and final video of this masterclass, we're going to discuss self-acceptance. Look forward to seeing you there.